Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Today I'm going to go over a farm tour, show you kind of what I've got in the ground right now to kind of catch you up to speed of where we're at. And then I'm also going to show you my row cover pipes so that I'm using and show you how I'm a little bit different than what some other guys are doing and the reasons why I'm going to do that. That's all coming up in this video.
Hi, I'm Jared McGinnis. Thanks for joining me and my family on this adventure where over the next 2 years, we're going to show you how to change an average subdivision home into a local, sustainable food source for you and your family. From market gardening to orchards, greenhouses, and water catchment systems, it's all right here on Strong Roots Farm.
If you've been following along, we just finished the 5 series of things I wish I knew. If you haven't seen that, go back and check that out. But today I'm going to kind of go over and catch you up with where I'm at. It is now the beginning of April here, so I think we're the 5th today. And I'm going to show you where we're at on each crop. And I'm a little behind my schedule just because the weather's been fluctuating. I've had some issues with my propagation house, which I said in the last video. But let's go through the crops that I've got in right now and kind of show you what's going on. So in the ground here, we'll go through, I got 4 beds completely seeded today. Not seeded today, but 4 beds that have been growing. So I've got onions here. These are on 4-inch spacings. So you can see they're about 4 to 6 inches tall. When I seeded them in, basically I did transplant these in. So I seeded in trays and then I dropped it to the first nodule there when I was seeding. So that's about 2 to 3 inches deep. All I do is take my finger, poke a hole, drop the onion in and set it. You can offset these, meaning in a triangular or diamond pattern, some guys will call it. I don't. I use it in 4 straight rows, mainly because I'm going to go with drip irrigation. I'm not doing overhead watering. If you need some more spacing, you can actually get more onions in a bed by going with the diamond pattern, meaning instead of the next row being even, it's offset. So you still get the distance away, the 4 to 6 inches away, but you're getting more onions, or any crop for that matter, over the space of one bed. So there's my onions. There are 4 different varieties in here. The other way that I've seen people do onions that I like, I just don't need as many because I'm not doing a market garden as far as selling at farmers markets a lot, is to seed them with the Jang, direct seed them in and seed them thick, and then go in and thin them out. And people say, well, why would you want to thin them out and waste it? You're not wasting it. You're going to sell spring onions with the thinnings, and then you're going to thin it to where the bulb onions come at the end of the season. So that's what we got here. The first row is onions. Next row I have here is carrots. I direct seeded these carrots. This is the Hercules variety from Johnny's. I like these carrots because they're fatter and they're not so deep. So as you broad fork, as your garden gets deeper with soil, you can go with some of the longer branch carrots. But Hercules, I like these because they're not super long. They're 8 to 12 inches long, but they get fatter. And for the first year, because my ground is not super deep, because we just started here, so I'll wait till year 3 or 4 before I start putting deeper carrots in. I like the Hercules. And so you can choose any variety you want. You can mix varieties. It does not matter. All those kind of things. You can see I have put my compost. I put another 3 inches of compost on top. I tilthered and I direct seeded right into it. I have 7 rows of carrots, which means it's pretty tight, but I can thin. And so I'm going to watch and see how this goes. And then you'll see my hoops on here, which I'm going to talk about. That is my row covering that I'll go over today as well. So that's row 2. Next row here, I have sugar snap peas. These are absolutely one of my favorite early crops to grow. They're delicious. The kids love them. You can dip them in ranch and eat them raw. You can put them in their lunch boxes if you were going to school. The kids love these. This is something that, it's one of the green vegetables that my kids will come out and pick like strawberries. They will come and just pick them off and eat them. Each plant will produce about a quart of sugar snap peas in general. I've had them produce way more than that. There's not a lot of pruning. It's not a huge heavy feeder. It actually is a legume, so it puts stuff back into the ground. I do have the same 3 inches of compost because it's year 1, and you can see it's in my Sunbelt fabric. So this is still considered direct seed, though it's in fabric, and some people are confused about that. So transplanting is when you grow it and then you're going to transplant it into the hole in the fabric. But I actually put my fabric down, put my finger in the hole, drop the seed in and cover it up in the fabric so that it's going to grow up right out of the hole. The negative with this is that as it sprouts, you'll have to come up and every now and then one will crawl underneath, and you'll have to kind of take it and flop it out over the fabric. It's not a huge hassle. I like it this way. It's easy, and this will have drip tape underneath of it as well. So you can see I'm using bricks, mainly because I haven't purchased sand and got my sandbags going yet. I also have this little spot here on the end where my fabric from my other farm wasn't as long. So I didn't remake fabric. I just used what I had. So apparently I had a piece that was 24 feet, not 25. So I ended up with this spot. So I put some flowers there. So I got a couple marigolds and stuff. Hopefully those will come up. It adds some things to my garden. My wife will eventually put it in a vase. It's also good for pests. So that is sugar snap peas. And I've seen a few sprouts in there. Back to the carrots. There's only a couple carrots that are starting to come up. Those have been in about 7 days. So sugar snap peas are coming here. The last row here that is planted, I direct seeded as well. This is my salad mix. 25 feet of salad mix is not a healthy amount for a home gardener. I'll just tell you that. You can do it, and you're just going to be giving away a lot of salad. Okay, so this could produce 50 to 100 pounds of salad mix, this one 25-foot bed. It is germinated. It's 7 days in. We'll see if we can get close here. Got some growth going. Different varieties in here. So I want to talk about how I did this because it's very unconventional. It's very away from what a lot of other guys are doing. So I have a All-Star Gourmet blend from Johnny's. I have the Ovation Greens from Johnny's. I have the kale, the little red kale, and I have spinach. If you're a market gardener selling to a market, selling in a farmer's market, I would not mix these. It's not a good idea. I would go monocrop, Ovation here, spinach there, and then mix them as you wash and pack. I'm not going to do that. I don't need that much lettuce, but I like the variety in my salad mixes. I'm going to have 8 to 12 different leaf type or varieties in each salad mix. So I really like that. So how did I do that? Because it's a little weird on the spacing. So spinach is going to get bigger. So the first thing I did was I ran one row of spinach down the center, and then I run my outside 2 rows as spinach. So I've got my bigger crops, which is the spinach, going to flow over the edge, and then one will grow in the center. Then I took, and so this is 9 rows. So then I took the Ovation, did 2 rows of that, then 2 more rows of the All-Star, then 2 rows of the kale. And so that'll all be mixed in there as we went through. And I know that the math didn't add up there. I might have done a few other rows or whatever there, but you get the picture. There's 9 rows in this, so it's super tight. But I did space the center gap because I want the spinach to get a little bigger. It'll still be cut as baby spinach. And so that's where we're at there with the salad mix. It is up 7 days. There was no covering on this. I hand watered just because I wanted to get started. Same thing, 3-4 inches of compost on top, tilted it, direct seeded right into it with my Jang. All right, last I got some tray seeded. So I've got my zucchini. So technically I could probably put this in the ground with these row coverings that I'm making that I'll show you here in a bit. The zucchini I could direct seed. But I went ahead and got them in here. On this over here, I had some old Salanova mix that I wasn't sure was gonna come up that I found. So the front half that you do see good growth is my kale and my Bright Lights Swiss Chard, all from Johnny's. All my seed comes from Johnny's. And then I seeded this out in the Salanova mix, and I have 2 out of probably the 20 that I seeded there that came up, which is fine. It's old seed, it grows, it'll come in, it's fine. In the center here, it hasn't germinated yet because it's been about 5 days on this. This is all my peppers. Inside the barn, I have tomatoes started, and then today I will be seeding other trays as well to continue on with that. So I'm gonna walk away here so you can see the propagation box. If you haven't seen how I made this, you can go back. The big negative with this is it's not vented. You really got to watch it. It works well if you're home every day. If you're a home gardener and you're home every day and you're retired, or you're a homesteader and you take off the plastic and put the plastic back on, this will work great. And it does. It works really good. You can see that compost was at the top, and it's composted down 4 inches just in the time that I started seeding trays. So the worms are in there working. I cannot wait till I break this open and all those worm castings are in there. And I've had a lot of people say, well, how do you keep the worms from going out? So it is wrapped in the Sunbelt fabric, And then I had multiple layers of cardboard at the very base of this to kind of keep those worms from going out. Hopefully I can catch some of those back. If I lose them all and they're in the ground, it is what it is. And I wasted $40 on worms, but there it is. I'm happy with what's going on here. I did have the failure. I'm trying to show my failures as well. I did not uncover it one day and all my onions got fried and I had to get some onions from somewhere else. So there is some negative to doing it this way. I do recommend a good vented, automatic vented propagation table, or do it inside your house where you've got some more airflow if you have that ability. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you today is the row covering. And so you saw it out on the garden when we were out there. I'm using 1/2-inch EMT conduit. So I'm not even sure how much I paid for this stuff. It's got to be like $6 a 10-foot section. It comes in 10-foot sections. This is what electricians run wire through so that it's protected outside. It's pretty heavy duty, but it is bendable. Okay, so I bought a bender from Johnny's, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And the way I'm different, and so I'm using this, but you could, for the smaller row coverings that I had out there, you can actually use like a heavy gauge wire, which if you buy it from Johnny's, it comes in a tube pre-cut and you just bend it by hand. You don't have to buy a bender, and it will hold up the bug netting. It will hold up, if you put them close enough, it will hold up some greenhouse fabric or greenhouse plastic. But I'm using the conduit. So why? One, it's going to last longer. I like it because it can be moved from row to row to row. So it's very flexible. It's a low capital investment. I spent $30 today and got 6 pieces. Each piece produces 2 hoops for me. And that's one thing, if you're going to do this, you got to look at the benders. So some of these benders are made that each 10-foot section would make 1 arch that would cover 2 beds. And some of them are made to do a 30-inch or 32-inch wide, but it'll be taller, which would be very nice. So if you had a 10-foot section, it would go up about 4 feet, make the arch, and then go about 4 feet down. So you can have taller crops in those things. I do not recommend using this as a trellis, but it is nice to have some options here for your arch coverings. I'm cutting it in half. I want individual row covers so I can move each individual row wherever I want it. I'm using conduit over the wire just for the sturdiness. It's secure, it's gonna last a long time, it's easy to move, it's not that expensive capital investment wise. You can get it at a hardware store, you don't have to have it shipped in. All those reasons, that's why I chose EMT. And there's pros and cons to that. If you're a market gardener, buy the wires is what I would suggest, because you're gonna spend a bunch of money on this. A home gardener, if you're only buying 6 to 10 pieces, use this stuff. It can go on a wall, it can hang in an attic, it can, go out behind the barn and you're fine. It's galvanized. So you're good to go there. I'm gonna show you how I bend it now. First thing I do, take my tape measure, my marker, got a little black marker, and I go down 5 inches and I make a mark, and then I'm gonna take that over to the bender and show you how that connects. All right, so I've got my mark at 5 inches. This pipe is already cut at 5 feet. You can see there's a little hoop here on the bender itself. I take this black mark, slide it through, put my black mark right at the edge, and then I'm just gonna pull this around tight. So I flex it around here, and I put my hip against it, and I pull it here. Rotate back just a hair, pull it in tight, slide it out, and there, my arch is made. Next thing I'm gonna do is take a brick or whatever, I'm gonna smash the end of this so it has a little bit of a point, it goes into the ground a little better. Nothing fancy, not a iron work or anything here, but it also keeps the dirt from going up in this pipe. So there you have it. I did take the measurement here just to give you, so from the 2 bottoms, it's about 36 inches, but you can see it's pretty flexible. And then I've got about 2 foot of height here. The negative with something like this and the positive with going with one that has 2 rows is that if the plastic touches here and a plant leans against it and you get a frost, you can get some damage to your plants. I don't think I'm gonna have that issue, especially with the reason I'm using these, but you can see how small they are. You could put a hook in your garage and hang them up and have 10 of these hanging around. On a 25-foot bed, I'm using 5. So 2 at each end, 1 in the center, and then split them. So 5 of these arches. The wires, you want to be about 3 foot apart to 4 foot apart, depending on what kind of covering you're putting on with bug netting or whatever you would like to use. I can take these, put them in, leave them in, take them out, move them to whatever I want, use multiple fabrics on them. They're going to last a long time. That's the reason I've chosen to use the EMT, and there it is. Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope these help. Please comment on stuff that you want to see, comment on things that you need, and I'll be going over that. I'm going to try to do some crop focus items about how to seed them, how to plant them, how to follow them through, and I'll show you the progressions of these crops as we go throughout. And then as we get later in the season, I'm going to do some cooking videos. And so I do a lot of cooking on my own, but I've never done a lot of cooking videos as I grow. That's the one thing I'm trying to grow in, is how do I store this crop? How do we plan for the next Corona, even though that's not what I'm looking to do prep wise, but how do I take and save my hard work for later in the year? How do we make tomato sauce and sauerkrauts and all those things? So I'm going to try to include that in as well and work that out so you can better your family with those. Thanks for
As always, thanks for watching. Tell your mama and them. Subscribe and comment to continue with us on this journey. And don't forget to check out Noah Smith at noahsmithmusic.com.